It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Okay, so this weekend was a hard one for me personally for the Hoop Fest stuff. Outside of that, great weekend. Woods' 2-year-old birthday. It was great. We had a ton of fun. Had a ton of fun at his birthday party on Saturday. On Sunday, had the birthday. We went swimming at my in-laws. We had, an absolute great weekend celebrating my favorite 2-year-old. Although, you know what? To be fair, my buddy Kenny is still probably my favorite 2-year-old. Speaking of Kenny, he was at Hoop Fest this weekend. It was hard to miss it. Today on the podcast, by the way, the focus is water balloons. I've got to get some water balloon commentary off my chest. It's really important, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, missed Hoop Fest again, third year missing it. I will be back next year, and I've already sent the text out to my buddy Walter, and he is going to be the guy. He's going to be the person we're building the team around. It's a Walter year. I think we played together in 2001 or 2002. So that's been a minute. He didn't play this year. I didn't play this year, obviously. And so I texted him today and I said, look, dude, can I dibs you for next year? Because he's someone who has a lot of people ask him to play with him. And he said, yeah. So Walter's going to be the guy this year. This year, I need 365 days of very intensive workouts from him to make it happen. And then I probably need Rob Sacre to join us. Those are the two things I'm going to need. Walter to work really hard for the next 365 to get into great basketball shape, and Rob Sacre to come out of retirement from professional basketball to play the next closest thing to professional basketball, Hoop Fest. Pretty simple. I'll be back next year. I'm so excited. Seeing the pictures and videos this weekend. My cousin-in-law, my cousin Scott, played on the team with Kenny, and his wife Kalisha, who's the best. She sent me the greatest updates. I didn't ask for any Saturday because I didn't want my phone out while we did Woods' stuff. But today, Sunday, when I'm recording this, I was like, I want the updates. And Kalisha pretty much gives score, like play-by-play of every game, which has got to be a pain in the brain. But it was just great. And so I got to live a little bit vicariously through her updates. I'm excited for next year. Okay. I learned this weekend, and it's a sad state of affairs we are in the world of water balloons. We have done our children, we have done society a disservice with water balloons. And I think it's probably a crux of why kids are how they are in 2026. We need to look no further than water balloons to see what the problem is with kids these days. So we have a party at my house, and we have a slip and slide. We've got a lot of water activities, and my wife got water balloons. Now, I grew up with water balloons. I love water balloons. We'll do some water balloon stories here in just a second. But we get these water balloons, and I realized this cleaning up today when I went in the backyard, and I'm expecting to go through the whole backyard and pick up water balloon shells everywhere, just balloon shrapnel everywhere. No, that's not what happened. They're all in one specific spot right where we filled up the water balloons. Why is that? Because we have ruined water balloons. To the person who created, and let me get the name of it. To the person who created Bunch O Balloons, you ruined it for everyone. You ruined it. You are a terrible inventor. Because what has happened now is you can buy these bunch of balloons. They attach to the faucet. You turn the faucet on, and it's got all these little straws that go into 20 different balloons, 15 different balloons, and they fill them all up. And the packaging says 100 balloons in 1 minute, and so you fill up all these balloons quickly. It's ridiculous. It has ruined water balloons because you fill them up so fast, and now they're all accessible. And kids just launch them at each other. There's no value in a water balloon anymore. There used to be a passion about a water balloon. You filled it up. It took a little bit to get that thing on the spigot. Then you had to carefully fill it up. Then you had to carefully remove it. And then you tied it. And all of this while you were hoping not to break it. So when you were done and you had the water balloon, there was such value in that water balloon. You would go and find the perfect throw and the perfect moment to launch this water balloon. They were precious. Now you get 15 of them in half a second. You don't care. You're just throwing them where you fill them up. They're willy-nilly. That no care is given into what happens with a water balloon. It is a true shame. It is a travesty, and it is absolutely leading our children down a path of ultimate laziness. So shame on you, creator of Bunch of Balloons, on making our kids not understand the value of a good water balloon. It was bummed me out. I'm looking around. I'm expecting to see these balloon shells everywhere. They're not. They're just right by they just filled them up and threw them all out. I loved water balloons growing up. And they were like it was a big deal to have them. Because you bought the bag of balloons. You occasionally you get lucky. Mom and dad would buy the balloons, the smaller ones. And you're like, okay. And so if you got 50 balloons to fill up, I think maybe, let's go with 35 of them survived getting the actual balloon onto the spigot without breaking the balloon. So you're down 15 already. Then you had the care in filling that up and filling it up enough that it was big and had a lot of water in it, but not too big that it would break either on the spigot or when you tried to remove it from the spigot. There was a fine line there in how much you could fill these balloons up. So you might lose like 2 more, 3 more in there. So you're down to, let's say you're down to 30 balloons at this point. So you've lost 20 balloons just on the connecting them to the spigot and filling them up. Then you inevitably lost 5 balloons at least on trying to tie them. And you tie them and pop them on accident, or you tie them and it would slip out of your hands, drop and break. So you would get 50 balloons and you'd exit that with about 25, 27 balloons to use. The value was insane. So you had to go out and, put them in a bucket. You fill the bucket with water. So now you're moving that. You're trying not to break any in that time. And it was great. Water balloons meant something back in the day. They're meaningless now. They're just given to you, freebies. It's sad. It's a shame. It truly is a travesty and a tragedy of what's going on in the water balloon world in 2026. It's just very sad. Now, I grew up in Venezuela, and the water balloon stories for us were always crazy because they celebrated sort of a ripple effect carnival. So I think carnival is like mainly in Brazil, and Venezuela right on the borders Brazil. I feel like the ripple effect hit Venezuela. And so it wasn't crazy like you see Carnival in Brazil where it's wild on the streets and people going crazy and the music, the dancing, the partying all night. Ours hit in like a different way where for 1 week in the year, the streets of Rubio became water wars. Straight up water wars. And to the point where like if you were walking from point A to point B, you were going to get wet one way or another. People would drive around in trucks, in the back of trucks, with buckets of water, and they would just dump them on people. And it's like, Carnival! And no one was safe. It didn't matter if you were a 6-year-old kid walking around or a 96-year-old lady trying to just get up the sidewalk. No one was safe. But water balloons were huge. And they would do like neighborhood versus neighborhood water balloon wars where you'd weaponize your neighborhood and you'd all meet on a corner and you'd figure out, okay, at 3:30 we're marching on neighborhood X, and you would rally the troops and you'd march to their neighborhood. Everyone was outside kind of waiting for like what war is going to happen. And then you would just get in an all-out water war in the streets. And this happened for a week every year. Now, there was always the terror because it doesn't take a lot for a great rumor to start. And I believe this rumor to be true. And I hadn't really thought about it until this weekend, but there was always the rumor that, like, be careful with the water balloon wars because there's a specific group that are filling up their water balloons with pee. It was always the story. It's like, you do not want to get hit with the water balloons. They're filled with pee. And I got hit with a ton of water balloons. I never got hit with a pee one, I don't think. And it's funny because now I unfortunately took a moment this weekend and I was like, oh, the pee balloons. That was always the big fear. And I was like, I used to think as a kid that they had like a faucet of pee somehow. Like, I don't know what I thought as a kid, but I never really thought about it. Where it was like, well, they probably just like peed into a cup and dumped the cup into the water balloon. But you realize like there's no pressure to fill the balloon up that way. So then you really start to think about how you get the pee in a balloon, and it takes your mind down a bad rabbit hole. And one that I'm very thankful I didn't think about when I was a kid. because that would have just broken my brain to think about that. But the pee balloons were always just the biggest deal. It's like, do not walk through this neighborhood. This neighborhood's notorious for pee balloons. And they had to be thinking, like, who ruined that for us? Because part of the fun of that Carnival week in Rubio was having people attack your neighborhood and just dumping water all over them and throwing water balloons at them. And one neighborhood just got looked over forever because some kid one time said, like, I'm going to throw a pee balloon at you. And that caught fire. And for, the next forever, that neighborhood just lost Carnival. Maybe it was a parent. It could have been a smart parent who didn't want to get wet. And so they started the rumor that, like, we only have pee balloons and pee buckets up here. And they ruined it for the kids, which I get as an adult now that I'm grown up. I don't want to come home from work and get a bucket of water dumped on me. So you just claim pee balloon and no one's bothering your neighborhood. All right, so there it is. I had to get the state of water balloons in 2026 is a sad, sad state of affairs. It just is. I really hope that the Hoop Fest people are like going to make some kind of special thing for the Mark Axton team. Mark Axton, Mike Hart, Robert Lippman, Parker Kelly. Mark and Parker, Eastern Eagles, Mike Hart, Gonzaga Bulldog. Love Mike Hart. Love Mark. Love Parker. And I love Robert Lippman. I really tried like one summer to become good friends with Robert Lippman. And he was like, yeah, dude, I tried. You're not cool enough. And I was like, fair enough, Rob. Fair enough. So I tried with Robert Lippman. And I shot my shot, didn't get into the friend group, but they won their 8th consecutive Hoop Fest over the weekend, which is insane. Because it's not like they're playing against all the guys their age the whole time. Mark is what? Mark's 40, 41, 42? Mark might be 43. And Parker's still young, but he's in his 30s. Mike Hart's in his late 30s. Lippman's not super young. And they're playing against all these 20-year-old studs who are out there just killing it and grinding and in the best shape of their lives, and they're losing to Axeman and these guys. Hoop Fest needs to do something awesome for them. At some point, get the statue, get the busts out there. 8 years in a row winning the Elite 6 foot and over is insane. So I love those guys. I'm excited they won. I was very thankful I got to watch a little bit of their game streamed. Mark Axton is my all-time favorite Eastern Eagle. I just love him to death. He's a celebrity to me. So getting to watch him play basketball, even streaming it, just takes me back to college, and I freaking love him. I love him to death. All right, thanks for tuning into the podcast today. We got a whole week's worth coming up. I think this marks 13 in a row. Thanks for being here. Sean Widmer Podcast. Talk to you tomorrow.